Hello everybody, welcome back to the TraderMerlin Show. It's Thursday edition, the final day of March, and I've got all kinds of good numbers to look at today. Yes, welcome back everybody. I missed you all as well. I missed everybody here except Rob L. Maybe just a little bit of Rob L. I'm kidding, Rob. Missed you as well. Good to see you, Joe, Glenn. We've got Zanzibar as well. Haven't seen you in a while, Zanzibar. Good to have you. Lori, Chris, Skilled Stocksman, and Les Gold. Yeah, I might look a little tanner. I tried to turn the bright lights up to brighten me up a little bit. A week on the beach in Aruba at 84 degrees and high humidity was a tough time. I suffered through it. I made it. All was fun. And yeah, I would definitely go back to Aruba. I don't know if anybody's ever been there, but what a fun place to go to. It's thoroughly enjoyed my time. So let's kick things off. I'm going to get it rolling. I actually was going to do the show yesterday, but I have just absolutely been buried with all the content and requests that I have to do to get finished for. What's with the hair sticking up? I have hair, Lisa. I have hair. That's all I want is make sure I have hair. But yeah, I actually had an interesting piece of news. I'm not exactly sure 100% the day. I believe it's going to be Tuesday, May 10th. Is that the Tuesday? Sometime in early May, I will actually be out in Las Vegas. I was invited to speak at the conference out there. I think it's Tuesday, May 10th, for the Traders Expo out in Las Vegas. So that will be fun. I'll let you guys know more about that if and when I get those dates. So maybe come out and meet me out in Vegas. Have a cold beer somewhere. So let's get on with the program. Here is the topic du jour, back in the saddle. Yes, I got my little back in the saddle with just some crazy market action while I was gone. I missed a lot, man. It was just so much going on. It was fun. Loved it. So I'm going to start things off by looking at... Well, we'll start with doing a monthly overview because I like to do that to wrap up the month, just to put it into perspective of where we came from, how things moved, and what the landscape of the markets look like. So you guys might know some of these numbers, but let's just run through them all. We'll start things off with your best performer out there. We're talking like monstrous gains as well. Hello, why is my thing not working here? There you go. Oil. Can you believe it? A 35% increase for the price of oil for the month of March. I mean, it is a phenomenal move up, even though you've given back quite a bit over the past few days. Now, I'll bring up the chart here so you guys can see that. Here is the crude oil chart, and let me go to the monthly. There's your monthly time frame, and wait a minute, hold on a second, my number's wrong. I thought that seemed way off. I clicked the wrong spot. I clicked there, 35 off the peak. Haha. Only 4.92. There we go. Well, let's fix that right now. See, this is what happens. You come back and you got jet lag. You put in the wrong dates, put in the wrong variables in your platform, and things just don't look quite right. So I guess I should just fix all of that. Oil was not your best performer. I went from peak to peak. Oil is only going to be up, believe it or not, 4.92. But hard to believe that thing was up so much more than that. I mean, it just mind-boggling to me that this thing was at one point up 70 or 35%. But that's what we have for today. So here is your numbers again. We'll start from the top. Now the best performer is gold. That one I've got. There's your GC chart. Gold with just a monstrous shooting star and actually going right up to that 2088 mark. We talked about that a while back. You notice that's the high from June of 2020, right? Long time ago. We go actually August of 2020, where we peaked out at a high price on the gold futures at 2089. Well, you notice this month we peaked out at 2,078, so very close to it. Big shooting star on this monthly time frame, closing out the month of March. All in all, it was up 8.93% for the month. Still phenomenal gains, and most importantly, it's broke out of this little red channel that we've drawn on there, so I can now officially get rid of a lot of lines. We're going to do some erasing today, as over the past week, it's been just blowing through levels and lines. So let's get rid of those. Let's get rid of that one. I'm going to just clean slate for the month of April. No joke. Merlin, is oil a shooting star for the month? Yeah, if you look at that, let's go. Let's run down the list. I'm going to get there in just a second because for some reason I screwed up. But let's go from gold to Bitcoin. Hey, about time I said Bitcoin's doing something fun, right? Well, here's your Bitcoin chart. And the monthly is interesting because it closed above 45,000. For those of you who are in the CIL, you know that has been my very important number. I have been glued to 45,000 on Bitcoin, saying if it doesn't get above it, I'm not really that excited about Bitcoin, right? And here is your daily chart. Notice a few days ago, we jumped up, gapped up there, big move to the upside there for the Bitcoin futures, as over the weekend it had a nice run. Giving back a lot of it today, though. We're down a few percent today, about 2.87 on the day. But all in all, for the month, you're looking at a pretty nice move of 6.36% for Bitcoin. And more importantly, you'll notice that it feels like it's broken out of this kind of sideways range that it's been in for quite some time. Get that level up there. All in all, I'm pretty optimistic now for Bitcoin, especially with some of the other news regarding Terra and regarding Michael Saylor. There's just some really big pieces out there that I think bode well for the crypto market going forward, specifically Bitcoin. All right, well, I'm all out of order on my thing, so let's go down the list. 4.91% for the NASDAQ and for oil. So let's do those together so I can answer Les Gold's question on, is oil a shooting star for the month? For those of you who know Bob Dunn, he loves to look at a monthly time frame and see how things panned out. Well, let's look at crude oil. Start there. To me, that is a shooting star. That is, not only is it a shooting star, it's a monstrous one. And the sad part about a pattern like this is when you have such a big tail on a shooting star, it really tells you that you missed a lot of the action because it's given back so much. As you guys know, I just clicked from where that month opened, which was right there, all the way to the peak is 35.81% move. But at the end of the month, we're only up 5.26%. We're getting all kinds of weird numbers. This snap isn't working. 5.26% on the futures. So it's already given back a ton of its present move. So yeah, you might be chasing a little bit. I think the interesting piece will be to see how we operate over the next week or two, right? If I go to a daily here, let's go there, and you can see that low point of this shooting star is really back right around 93.59. So if we start to get below 93.59, then I would think you have more argument to be going short on this one. Right now, I would wait. It still, to me, looks really strong. Looks like it's pulling back into a trend line here, even though it's not the most perfect trend line. You guys get the general gist of what it's doing. It's just moving up. Right, moving up, coming back down a little bit, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. So I would still think that that's intact for crude oil. The only negative piece that you have here with crude oil is that over the past month, really, from March 7th through today, it's been making lower highs. It hasn't been able to break a new high, but given the trajectory and the impulse that this thing has had to the upside, I wouldn't worry about it. So crude oil still looking good on the month. I had right around 5%. Looks like 4.91. And yes, shooting star out there, Les. I would think so. Now, next on our list is NASDAQ. NASDAQ had just an unbelievable run. I mean, this is one of those market moves that's just almost unheard of. Fortunately, I told you I was heavily short, but I had stop losses in place, moved out. You very rarely, you will be hard-pressed to find moves over your trading career where the market moves 18% in 10 trading sessions. Hard-pressed to find a move like that in our markets. It is crazy to think of that's how much we moved on the NASDAQ. But even though it moved up 18% off the lows, it was still only up 4.91% for the month. That's because we started at a little bit higher price than that bottom down there. So all in all, some pretty nice moves. NASDAQ came right in the very end of that demand zone and ripped out. I mean, I hope some people got long on that one in that demand zone. Fortunately for me, I stopped out of my stuff because it just kept on ripping. Now it's a question for this week going forward. With the NASDAQ especially, we really came back up to this area of supply. So here we are just kind of bouncing back and forth, and we ripped aggressively to a zone that from my drawing would be right there. And we are selling off out of that 2 consecutive days, selling off out of that overhead supply zone, which goes all the way up to right around 15,263 on the NASDAQ, and it starts at 15,135. So you got about a 130-point range for that supply zone. But that was the last big turning point that we saw on the 2nd of February, and here we are turning at it yet again. But no, I did not short. All right, where do we go? We had oil, we had NASDAQ, we had the S&P. Here's your SPY. Here's where we get to do a lot of work for today. Let me get rid of some of this stuff. It's too much space. As you guys know, I had this pattern drawn. I was all set for it to meet my target. Well, because we had this break up here, I am officially erasing my head and shoulders pattern. To me, it's no longer valid because we broke the high of the right shoulder, and this pattern can now go bye-bye. Unfortunately, bummed to see it, sad to see it happen, but it is what it is. Just trading. There'll always be something else. Now we're going to go back to a clean palette on the S&P. I know, tears, everybody. Tears! Tears! It's okay. Don't worry. We'll make do. So, we didn't quite hit a supply zone. There really was nothing that was calling out this S&P to turn, but it also had a phenomenal run. I'll go from those lows of March 15th to where we rallied up to a 12.2% move up in 9 days for the S&P. That is ridiculous. Again, average market move for the S&P since the 1950s per year, has been about 8 to 10%, and we did that 9 days. Man, markets on methamphetamines. That's what it was. Continuing on with our list, we've gone down. We're pretty much near the bottom end, Dow Jones, and then we'll finish with the Russell. Here's your Dow. The Dow on the week up 2.53%, but for the last couple days, aggressive sell-off. Now, I had a little zone drawn here, but we really didn't stop at that one at all, so we're going to have to just erase and come up with a whole lot of new levels out here for our markets going forward. It feels nice to have a clean chart. Let me just delete that bad boy. I got nothing on my Dow futures chart. So there we go. From a technical perspective, I don't have much to say here with the Dow. We just had that big impulse move up, and right now, a small pullback, but I don't see anything that's driving this one, so we move on to something that is a little bit better. I was happy when no worries, Les. Don't worry. Hey, you can always cheer for your trades no matter what they are. If I'm on the opposite side of your trade, that's for me to deal with, so don't worry about it. The only thing you never want to do is like rub it in someone's face. We're like, dude, you must be getting killed. You suck. Never do that. But hey, my neighbor's got these little race cars outside. You can probably hear it. It sounds like there's a bear growling in his den next door. All right. Yes, no, congrats. As long as you're making money, that's what really matters. And again, I gave back a huge chunk of my gains, but still managed to eke out some profits on that one. Fortunately, because it kept on going. All right, last one was the Russell 2000. 1.12% gain for the month of March. Here is your Russell 2000. Today was down about 0.91%. The noteworthy thing really for me with the Russell is we had this break, which, some of you might know this formation or what happened right here. A lot of people call this a bull trap, where you're playing the breakout, right? You see this yellow box, and you get this expectation that when it breaks, you can get all this buying pressure coming in. And lo and behold, let me add on volume down here. I believe I have volume. There you go. Lo and behold, we broke. Now, volume was higher on the day it broke, but not significantly. It wasn't like this huge volume surge, but there was a higher than average volume on the breakout to the upside. But the next day just gave it right back, real quick, head fake. So I don't know where all this is headed here for the Russell 2000. My gut tells me we're going to continue down a little bit, probably back to this 2044 mark where it was baselining for the past couple weeks. Other than that, a little bit of a head fake in my opinion on the Russell. Now, it's funny that you guys mentioned that. I see Jason says, how did you talk yourself to come back to reality? I would have stayed longer or trade from there. Well, it's not that I was, in another reality, Jason. Just with the trades that I was in, I was initially started because what I saw as a double top on the S&P. So then, I was looking at this chart pattern. I mean, here, I'll walk you through the logic. It's not that there was anything I did that was out of the ordinary. So if you were watching this chart unfold, right? Here's how the chart had looked. And right here, I'm already thinking to myself, oh, crap. This market's looking a lot weaker right now, okay, with this visual. And for those who listen to the podcast, what I'm looking at is the S&P 500, and I'm going all the way to the peak of January 4th, and that aggressive slide we had from January 4th to about January 26th. What made that significant was that it broke some lows, right? So from right there, I was already like, okay, I'm feeling bearish. It bounced up. It didn't make a new high on the 2nd of February. So it rallied up, but didn't quite make it. I'm like, you know what? Then it sold off and challenged. And as it came back into this high, that's why I started building a position in this. Now, what I did is every time I started to make some new lows, I just kept adding to the position and adding to the position. Now, when it broke above, so I had been moving my stop loss down here, and because I dollar cost average, I knew that if I got above 4,500 on the on S&P, that my profits would pretty much be gone. So I just put a stop loss in, so I meant Aruba. Thanks, Jason. You got me on a totally different talk track. It's all right. I think this is cool for people who don't understand why I got out. I just set a number for myself profit-wise and said, I got to take something off the table, right? There's very few things as demoralizing as having a huge winning trade. And I'm sure some of you have had this one before where you've got a trade that's so big that you got to talk to somebody, right? You're just like, I can't believe this is happening. This is a monster. It's a 5-figure winner, 6-figure winner, 7-figure winners for some of you out there. This was one of those that was a significant gainer. And to have had this huge gain and then go home a loser would have been absolutely demoralizing. So it's just a psychological thing to take some money. Now, of course, am I happy that I gave back most of the gains? No, of course not. But I'm happy I took something home. And that to me is more important than, staying in that trade longer. I could, potentially still be in this thing, hoping it's going to come back down, but I don't need that kind of stress. I know you're talking about Aruba. The stop loss for Aruba was just simply flights. Unfortunately, I have too much stuff I have to do here until I shuffle things around and be able to generate a significant. And I'm actually working on it. Maybe at some point, if I can actually pull this thing off, I'll do maybe a show specifically on it, or maybe even write a book, because it'd be pretty cool if I can do it, where basically the investments pay for themselves and your entire cost of living and everything to do with your life are all done on a very predictable, steady income stream, and that's what I'm working towards. So Aruba, I had to come home. I loved it, though. I could have stayed longer, that's for sure. What a great place. It's interesting, in my travels around the world, most of the time, you go through a city, and there's always shady parts of town where it's just plagued with graffiti and dirty as hell, and you walk through going, I'm going to die. This is not safe. I didn't feel that at any place in Aruba. It was super clean. A couple places had tiny graffiti on it, but it wasn't bad at all. All the people were super friendly. It was just, my negative gripe to it was expensive. Very expensive island. 7 figures, yeah, that's Tom Barr kind of money, I know. Big Tom. That spike in the Russell hurt, but I'm good for tomorrow's options expiration. Yeah, and you know what, guys? You may have, I haven't covered this, but you guys remember I was in silver. I still am in silver. It was so awesome is, you remember how we closed on Friday? This was a thing of beauty. So here's Friday's close. My silver, I sold the 2350 puts on silver and collected over 1% for 5 days. And my strike price was 2350. We closed at 2348. That was great. So just 2 cents shy of my strike price. So I got to keep it, woke up the next morning, and sold some new options. So I've got right now the 2350s again on the Russell. It didn't make as much premium, got about 1%, 1.1% for the 5 days. But tomorrow I should expire unexecuted, keep my options, and just do it again next week and next week and next week until finally my shares are taken away. But anyway, there we go. That's a majority of the big news I had for you. As far as markets go, obviously I'm just going to be reevaluating and looking for new setups. We're looking for new opportunities out there, new trades to make. Most of my chart formations and the big things I'm looking for, you'll notice are gone. We can go here at gold, right? Now I've got really no markings to work with. The Russell. I have this zone, but Russ is right. We really did the same thing back here. You're absolutely right. If you look at this sideways action we had in the Russell back here, we pretty much did the same thing, although we went for a longer period outside that range. It was like, a 3-day rip or 4-day rip to the upside, then gave it all back. Well, we have a similar situation happening right now, and the question is, is this that same sort of head fake, where all of a sudden it just comes ripping back down? But we'll have to wait and see how it pans out. But really, most of my drawing is gone. All right, I've got, I have to find new levels, new opportunities, new pieces. But all in all, I'm pretty happy the way the month of March turned out. Hopefully many of you are as well. Okay, so what else do I got to talk about? And again, if you guys have questions for me, feel free to type them in. I hadn't had time to prep today. I did a cryptocurrency class this morning, which is a ton of fun. Let's see. Jason, how do you talk yourself to reality? I'll tell you. I have a math equation that I'm working with that basically, I guess you have to define how much money you need per month to survive in the location that you're at. So, for example, I live in Southern California, and the cost to live here is pretty damn expensive compared to other parts of the world. But if, the part of this presentation I'm going to be giving in Las Vegas, a lot of it has to do with taking traditional portfolios, augmenting those portfolios to incorporate digital assets. And how do we use these new quote-unquote technologies or securities, whatever you want to call them, to help us increase our rate of returns without taking on more risk? And as many of you know, there are ways within crypto that you can park your capital for X amount of time and earn a pretty significant rate of return. Some of the safe ones, and I'll just say with an asterisk, it's like it's like calling Barry Bonds the home run king. There's an asterisk in there. There's some safe ones out there that can get you 19%. So if you think about that real quick, if you had $500,000, you had, let's say, $500,000, you're looking at bringing in about $97,000 per year in interest if you just took that $500,000 and put it into some of these protocols that allow you to get higher rates of return. And if you do something like that, if anybody here had ever been to Southeast Asia, been to Thailand, you'll understand that if you went over there and made $100,000 a year, you'll never run out of money. I mean, to spend $100,000 a year in Thailand would be insane. It's like it's hard to do. It's a challenge to spend that kind of money. So, at some point we'll get to that level where you just go, okay, I'm done being active. I've got this long-term capital. I'm going to let my money just generate income streams for me and not work. I think many of you here would probably be like, you know what? I would love to not work at all and make $97,000 a year versus I'm working my butt off 40, 60, 80 hours a week to make $97,000 a year, depending on where you're at. Yeah, Lisa, you'd live like an absolute king. I don't even think king would describe. You'd be absolute royalty with that type of stuff. Very, 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 very nice. This trip that we just did to Aruba, pretty expensive. And I know that if you map everything out and you look at different parts of the world, I mean, you go to Cambodia or Vietnam or Thailand or Indonesia, wow. What $1,000 a month can get you is mind-boggling. So that $1,000 you're living pretty good. Anyway, enough of my rant there. Let's see, Merlin, would you recommend selling puts in silver, cash secured? Tough call, Les. I was actually debating doing that again for some other capital I had, but let's bring up that question. SLV. So, part of the reason I've got this big yellow box and I'm leaving it still on here is I still believe that lower level, right around $20 is in play. So the question becomes, Les, what price would you like to own silver? Right now we're up near the upper end of this range. To me, it looks like silver is just kind of building some strength and potentially getting ready for the next move to the upside, the next rip. So, if you do sell puts, because it looks positive and been moving up, you're probably not going to be getting a great rate of return, right? The premium is not going to be very high for when you're selling puts here because just not a lot of people looking for puts, right? They're looking for calls, which is why I'm liking my position because I own silver and I'm selling calls as people want calls, right? You want to sell what people want. And in this case, as silver is breaking out and making some new highs, granted it's on a pullback right now, but if it keeps on making new highs, more people are going to be clamoring to buy puts, and I'm selling puts against my position. So it's going to be easier for me to make a greater rate of return on those puts. On selling my calls. Now, if I wanted to sell some puts right now, you got to ask yourself, well, where would you want to sell those puts? Like, where would you be a happy owner of silver? You can always help JP Morgan keep silver down. Thanks, Margaret. Glad to be back. I am. I felt bad because, like I said, I was going to do yesterday's show. I wanted to do yesterday's show, but I have too many other commitments. I have so much other stuff going on right now. I'm kind of buried, but definitely had to do the show today, and we'll do one tomorrow as well. So, I guess, Les, you have to ask yourself the question, is where do you want to buy it, right? So you can see this blue line down here, this 21. That's where I was selling puts at because I was like, man, it's near the bottom end of its range. I can get some good premium. But I was selling on these big down moves. When you see the big shock moves to the south side, that's when's the best time. So a couple days ago when you had this big gap down on silver, you see this big green candle, that's a gap down. So Monday, is that Monday? It was Tuesday. Tuesday, SLV had a big gap down. That would have been the day to sell some puts. Why? Because people were panicking at that moment. Silver was down over 2.5%. That's a pretty big one-day drop for silver. So now, I don't know if I would sell them now. The question would be, how much premium are you going to get, and what price do you want to buy at? Those are two questions you have to ask yourself. So if you're fine to own silver at, let's say, $22.50, or it's right about there, then sell some puts and see what kind of premium you can get. But, to say, is it a good idea? Would I recommend selling puts in silver? I would say no. Simply because the premium you're going to get for selling those puts is not very high right now. Oh, thank you. Let's see. What did Zanzibar say? Or actually, who was first? I think it was Lori was first. Merlin, on the computer, the little lock tells you that the website is fairly safe. How do you know an app on your phone is safe? I just downloaded Voyager on my phone. You don't. I mean, there is no... I mean, you assume that there's some vetting process for these apps. Just make sure that when you download the right one. There's a lot of knockoff apps. So one thing we cover a bit in the CIL is... if you've ever searched for something, you know, there's all kinds of fake ads. Let me see if I can show this one to you. I'm trying to come up with an example. What would be a good wallet that everybody wants to know? Let's go MetaMask. And I'll just go here, and I'll do MetaMask. MetaMask wallet, right? So right now, it pops up with MetaMask.io. That's the real one. But you'll notice sometimes there's ads. And I don't see any ads right now. Let me see if I can do another wallet. What's another good wallet that people are looking for? Soulflare. It's going right to them. Damn. BTC wallet. Okay, so you see how it says ad, just as a security thing for you? When you have ad like this, never click these. A lot of times they're scams. So especially with some of these lesser known wallets, like some kind of Bitcoin wallet, MetaMask used to have one where it said MetaMash. The lock only says the domain you entered is certified. That doesn't mean you are on the correct site. Correct. Right. So it doesn't mean that the site is safe either. Can you show the correct Voyager app? Sure. Well, Voyager, it's Voyager Digital. So there you go. Invest Voyager. Make sure. Yeah, that's the one. Interesting. Invest Voyager is the one. It's kind of weird. I think somebody has Voyager.com, but this is the right one. And then you go to the App Store. You know, you always want to make sure you have the right URL. That's really big in the crypto space. There's more scams than you could possibly imagine going on right now. Some of the things we looked at this morning in the CIL, in the last 6-7 months, there's been over $1 billion hacked out of DeFi exchanges, and you know, part of it is making sure that you're in the right place. You got the right URLs, the right links, and one major thing is if you type in for a different wallet, and if you guys do it at home, you might actually get this response. For example, I do MetaMask, and because I've searched for it before, it doesn't give me ads anymore. But some of you, if you type in MetaMask on your browser, you might get one that says MetaMash. And what they do is you click on it, everything's the same. The entire website is identical. It's completely copied. So you go to download, and then it will download their thieving, evil criminal wallet that as soon as you send anything to it, it's now theirs, right? And am I scaring you? Good. You should. I already got a spam email from the Voyager download. Well, that's kind of weird. I don't know why that would be, but you know, you're gonna get spam email from all of them. And again, anytime you ever get anything, none of the websites, so meaning Coinbase, MetaMask, they're not going to ask you for your seed phrase. They're not going to ask you for your seed phrase ever. The only way you ask for your seed phrase is when you import a wallet or you lose your connection. Then you'd be asked by the app itself to put in your seed phrase. But you should never give out your seed phrase to anybody. Never on the phone. Yeah. Anyway, this whole industry there's so many scammers because there's so much money just sitting in these very easy to get wallets. So you got to protect yourself. If Coinbase calls you and says, "Oh, this is so and so from Coinbase. We have a problem with your wallet," just say, "Okay, I'll call Coinbase. Thank you very much. I'll call them directly and call Coinbase. Don't fall for that scam." Verify all links. So to verify all links, what I mean by that is, let me see if I can find one on a scam account. One sec. I'm going to go through my junk mail account here and see if I can show you what we're talking about. It's really important that you verify everything, especially when you get spam email. So I get them all the time. Let me real quick and see if I got one today. I usually get one a day from somebody. Hold on a second. I'm reading through my email, trying to find one live. Yield app team. No. Guess I don't have one. I've been deleting them. But a lot of times what will show up is the email. It'll say, urgent from your account at Coinbase has been frozen. And then you look at the email of who it's actually from, and it'd be like support.176@funtime.com. Well, that's nothing to do with Coinbase. It should be coinbase.com, period. Or support.coinbase.com, something like that. But usually it's going to be somebody trying to get you to click on a spoofing email, etc. Does blockchain protect serial number hacking for software games programs? Could it do that? Yes. Yeah. I mean, essentially what happened is your software would become an NFT, right? It's a non-fungible token. You can only be one copy of it. And only one person can use that. It's the owner of it. So yes, you could actually, and I think this is one application for NFTs down the road. A non-fungible token might be your access to World of Warcraft, or your serial number to get into Adobe Photoshop. Could be an NFT program. Absolutely. The email I got said that I bought Ethereum, but I haven't even funded it yet. Yeah. Lori, if you want, you can email that to me, and I can see if I can glean from the email, because my guess is it's a phishing attempt. My guess is what they're trying to do is get you to click on something, and if you mouse over the button that they tell you to click on, let's see if I can find one here. Let's see. See if I can find an example for you. It's going to be kind of hard to do with this browser over here, but let's see if I can. So when you look at these emails, so here's an email that came to me from Celsius, which this is a legit one. You can see right here, Celsius.network is where it came from, so I know this one is real. But you notice a lot of times they say, oh, well, your account's been hacked to check your account balance in case of Lori. Oh, to check your account balance for the Ethereum you just bought, click here. Well, if you click over it, you can see the URL on the bottom left-hand part of the screen. It says link.celsius.network. Okay, I know I'm on the Celsius network, but if it's some weird link that you can't identify, I know it's hard to see, everybody. I can't point at it on the screen here because my mouse is over this button, but that's the easy way to just check and verify links before you click on anything. It's probably the most common game in town for hackers right now is just phishing emails, so don't click on them. Coinbase is the worst. Coinbase has the worst experience with those. All right. What else do I got? If you download that from Google Play Store, Apple App Store, they have been vetted. In theory, but I do believe that they can get things past the App Store. Years ago, actually this is 2017 when I was really diving into the world of crypto, there was a BRD wallet, which I use, and then there was a knockoff BRD wallet that somebody was using that actually was, I guess, stealing people's crypto. So somehow it got through. Hopefully it's better now to have them vetted, but I hope that they're all vetted now. What else? Perfect. Okay. So KF asked me this one. We all of a sudden got in a crypto tangent, which, hey, fine with me. I'm cool to talk about whatever. But this is from KF, who's here with us today. So some questions about the metaverse crypto. Which ones do you think have a good future? Do you suggest any stock related to the metaverse technology or any stocks related to the metaverse cryptos? I'm talking about long-term investing and long-term swing trades. Well, yeah, there is a couple different ones that could be interesting. 1 second. I'm going to bring up something for you guys. There is a metaverse ETF that is worth checking out. And let me bring that up over here. Come on, where's it at? I believe it's METV, right? I think it's METV. All right, so let me bring up over here. There's METV. So you can go to this METV and you can actually look through here and find their holdings, right? It may not be as clear on the Round Hill site, but a lot of times you just scroll down here and it should show you the holdings. So here you go. Here's the holdings. Let's go find the full holdings. Oh, they want me to have to sign up to download it. But there's a few here. So, Roblox. I'm not a fan of Roblox. I wouldn't buy it. NVIDIA. I wouldn't call this metaverse, right? NVIDIA's not a metaverse play. They're some of the technology to run the graphics behind the scenes, but not a pure meta play. Facebook, obviously not a pure meta play, even though they changed their name to Meta. Facebook would probably be on the top 10 of publicly traded companies that I would say would be a go for the metaverse just because they have so much. Exactly, Joe. We did, but I'm just trying to run through some names here for KF. Now, Unity. Unity is a software company that actually allows people to create their own virtual worlds. I think that Unity could do very well. So out of the metaverse equities, there's a couple different tracks here. The first one is, what are your metaverse plays, period, right? The other ones are, what are publicly traded companies on a stock exchange that are in the metaverse? And that's what we're doing now, is saying, hey, here is the publicly traded companies that have exposure to the metaverse. That's all I'm running through this for. And then we'll talk about metaverse gaming companies in a second. So I would think Facebook's probably going to do okay. Yeah, NVIDIA's the second largest holding there. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, real scary, right? You look here, you got Microsoft. I wouldn't be loading the boat on Microsoft because of the metaverse. I want something that specializes in the metaverse, which would be like Unity software. Other than that, none of these companies that I look at here would I think are going to be great ones for the metaverse. I don't see them. I mean, look, Galaxy Digital, no. Electronic Arts, well, they're going to make a bunch of games, but not necessarily metaverse, right? Roblox deserves number one. They will drive the metaverse for kids and young teens. Yeah, I guess you're right there. But to me, Roblox is not a metaverse. To me, Roblox is a game aggregator. They're a company that just brings in all these, they're not even that great at games, but they got hundreds of different games you can play in one location. That's not a metaverse. That's like a little arcade, really what Roblox is. To me, a metaverse is immersive. I'm in there and I have a whole world. And you look at Activision Blizzard. Like, how is Activision Blizzard not on this list? You're gonna put EA Sports, but no Activision Blizzard. Activision Blizzard has to be on here. It doesn't make any sense to me, unless I'm missing it. No, you're gonna put Electronic Arts, but no Activision. Remember, Activision is digital drug dealers. These guys sell World of Warcraft, which is one of the most addictive games on the face of the planet. That's going to go blockchain, metaverse, right? You'll just switch over the technology behind it. Fidelity for MetaV shows a different ranking of positions. Interesting. They're probably updated at a certain point in time. This was updated as of yesterday, so these values may have changed. But the point I'm making here is, if we look across the publicly traded companies, none of them are pure meta plays, right? There's some tangent to it. Some I don't really think have much of a metaverse play. I mean, Amazon. How is Amazon going to do metaverse? What do they have to do with it? Maybe they're Amazon Web Services for hosting, but I don't see Apple. Anybody keen on the Apple metaverse? Abe, it was there? Oh, there it is. You're right. Activision 0.41%. You got to be kidding me. You're going to give Activision 0.41%, but you're going to give Electronic Arts 4 times as much? Hell no. Hell no. I would flip-flop those. Anyway, I'm not building the index. Point I'm making is a lot of these have no real metaverse play. They're touching on it or buying real estate in it or kind of getting involved. The only one here that I think has a direct play would be Unity software, because that's literally used to build 3D worlds. So that would be the only publicly traded company I'd say, yes, that's the one I want. Please look at the U-chart, Margaret says. Well, shall we? Let's look at Unity. Okay, pretty much looks like crypto. Was up over 210, now bouncing around 99 mark. Was as low as $75, so a pretty significant pullback. Still in a downtrend, in my opinion, but we're real close to breaking out here. If you get above, let's say 108, all right, that trend may be reversed. As more and more people are using the technology to build their 3D worlds, who knows if they'll be the dominant player? There might be another one, but they don't look that great from a chart perspective. Facebook, had a nice bounce. Still lower than where I got out. Feel good about that. What else? Microsoft. All right. I mean, if I'm buying Microsoft, it's for the entire enchilada. It's not just for their meta play. Adams, I like Autodesk a lot. Oh, I mean, great stuff, but I wouldn't call this a pure meta play. I mean, Autodesk is way more than just a meta play. There's so many other pieces. So if you look at their overall business, I wish I had the time to make a pie chart and say, okay, here's where their business revenue is coming from. If you're going to say that Autodesk is getting a large chunk of their business from the metaverse, you're crazy. It's going to be a small little bit. But what's the growth potential, I think, is what everyone's wondering. How does this look for the future? How do we grow that out over the long term? So if you're looking at other companies, so right there we talked about publicly traded companies. I do own some metaverse stuff. I recently got out of a couple, but Sandbox would be one. Decentraland would be another one. The one that I recently purchased, which I like as a play, is Engine. So Engine is trying to tie together multiple worlds, basically bringing them together, and also connecting their own NFT exchanges for metaverse play. So these are the two spots I recently bought at. 122 and 105 were my last two purchases of. Oh no, I didn't buy it 120. It was 132. It was this most recent dip, 132. So I recently bought two different positions in Engine. Happy with the way it's going right now. I think long-term Engine will be doing a lot of good things. They're kind of building, you have horizontal integration where you take everybody that's doing the same thing and you merge them together, right? So let's say you've got 5 different garbage truck companies in your town. Horizontal integration is saying, I'm taking everything in that same level and moving them together. What Engine is doing vertical integration, which is they're working with core blockchains. They're working with NFTs. They're working with different blockchains to help incorporate their NFT programs into one, and then they have their own NFT exchange. So they're building all the different levels. To me, I think that has tremendous opportunity going forward. So Engine is one that I'm looking at in the metaverse. Other than that, I like Sandbox. I like Decentraland. I've been playing Star Atlas a little bit because it was an interesting concept to me, but it just hasn't gone anywhere. It really hasn't gone anywhere yet. Hopefully they'll roll out here soon. But I think that there are really huge developments in the future of the metaverse are going to happen in a couple of years. I think right now it's just in its infancy. The ideas are grandiose right now, but they're not really putting them to use. I don't think we're going to see the graphic support. And most of these games you play, I could show you guys Decentraland because I play that one. It looks like Minecraft. You got a bunch of pixelated bodies running around going, I don't know. I want the full VR world. That's going to be awesome. Meta is already a failing buzz similar to previous buzzes like Google Glasses. Yeah. There's always something, right, Tom? Always. I know it's mostly from infrastructure and engineering, but AutoCAD is used for that. Yep, absolutely. Well, that's why Unity is nice, because Unity is actually easier to use because it's specifically tailored for 3D worlds, whereas AutoCAD, Autodesk, Revit, those types of technologies generally have some architectural application or engineering application where it's a bit easier to have a platform that's specifically designed for building those worlds. But certainly, yes, Autodesk can be used as well. Check out Walmart. Walmart, W to the MT. Finally getting a rip up. It really has just been chop, has it not? We're just seeing big up, big down, big up, down, big down. Now I'm waiting for the big down. You got Walmart ripping up an overhead supply right around 152. It's had a couple of challenges there before, so if you were long, I'd be moving my stop loss up and kind of locking that bad boy a little bit. Oh yeah, BIM. Yes, BIM. God, I did Revit for a little while. I was actually doing some 3D modeling courses, how I designed my backyard and a house I was going to build, but just didn't build it. Love Revit and AutoCAD, and all those softwares are awesome. Echo, Meta here looks like a great project. 3D scanning you into an NFT. Oh, I haven't heard of that one. That's pretty cool. I like it. NJ wants Koopa. I'm going to run. Short Koopa. Okay, so a couple things here on Koopa software. Don't really know much about Koopa software, to be honest, but draw the box for Walmart. Okay, I'll draw the box. Bring the box! For whatever reason, Koopa looks like something is seriously broken. It's one thing to have a big downtrend, but this thing was up at $380. It fell all the way down to lows in the $40 range. That is pretty crazy to have that low of a sell-off. Let me see real quick, see what that actual low point was, because volume is in the way. Come on, get my volume on there and hide it. Our low point on this was 64.79. So significant low. I'm assuming this is because of an earnings announcement, which caused that gap down, and then you got the rally back up. Well, I think that you're probably right on, NJ. It's hard to short something that's already down like 75, 80%, because the question becomes, how low can it go, right? How much damage is there? Is Koopa going to zero? Don't think so. But shorting after you have these aggressive sell-offs is a bit dangerous. However, you're looking at shorting after an impulsive rally, right? It's gone from $64 all the way up to $110, so almost a 100% gain in about 2 weeks. Well, it's coming into an overhead supply, right? So maybe that becomes a short opportunity for you. You just got to, with ones like this, if you're trading those NJ, you really have to be like on it like a hawk. Like you cannot let this thing rip against you. You have to be on top of it and have those stop losses in place, because as you can see, this thing can rip. I don't know if anybody here watches Forged in Fire. There's the one guy, he's always like, and it will kill. Yeah, this one can kill you. Look how fast it moves. That's nuts. SRE. Merlin, look at SRE. I have a large position with a trailing stop now. Utilities are usually good at this time of year. Thoughts? Recent all-time high. Whew, holy cow. Big Eb. Damn. Lunch is on you. You know, my only concern with this one, Big Eb, is how fast it's moved, right? I think that how fast it's moved. I think you probably would agree that this is not a normal move, even if it's utilities. I mean, come on, to move this much, you have a 28% move in 25 trading sessions. That's an average of 1% a day. I mean, I love it. I think it's awesome. I'm glad it's happening to you because you're long. I would just move a stop loss up. I would move it up, and I would keep moving it up. Every day it moved up. So maybe you put a stop below the low the previous day. But to me, something that moves like that usually has a pretty hefty retracement. And I think we saw an example of that back here. No. I thought I saw a really big rip up and then it kind of cratered back down. Yeah, I'm just a little nervous that this thing's going to have a pullback. And it could be aggressive. So I would just say trail stop this thing. And, you know, if you get stopped out, so what? Fine. You know, make sure that you lock in that profit. Kind of like my shorts on the SPY and Russell, right? Make sure you lock in profit because, as they say, what goes up must come down. And this one could come down pretty quick. Anything can come down real quickly. I think we all get that. I use AutoCAD version 12 was mine, buddy. I used AutoCAD 12, and we had to type in connect point at and then give the coordinates of it. It was just archaic to do. I just checked there on version 35. Yeah, it's crazy. Makes me feel really old. I did version 12 when I was at the junior college. It's fun. DO. I don't know, Rob, if you're saying do or not to do. Do or not to do. Oh, Diamond Offshore. Let's see. Did they have a reverse split? I couldn't find anything. Now it's trading on the New York Stock Exchange. It was 67 cents, and now it's over $7. I don't know. I haven't followed this one. It looks like it's just a couple days old here, so it may have been moved. I don't know. Honestly, I'd have to dig into this a little bit deeper here. It's tough for me to do that one live. My guess is it either was it on the NASDAQ before? Because if it was... they just switched exchanges, and they probably, when they did that, did a readjustment of share prices. I'm not sure why it looks this way, but it's pretty bad. I made a little note to myself to check out DO later today. I just don't have time to do it here live because I'll fumble around trying to find all the info on it. But yeah, hey, great to be back. Thanks, everybody. All right. I've never heard of Matterport. But since Joe wants that one, we'll check out Matterport. Normally I look at Matterport and say it's garbage, right? Just because the way it's trending down. But what's noteworthy here about Matterport is look at the trend, right? It's not like it's amazing, but it's stopped falling. This thing has officially started to make some new highs. I'll draw a channel on here, and you can see that Matterport is kind of stuck on this little channel right here. Great. I mean, if you forget about this piece here, this massive sell-off, this by itself looks great. So this is where you're buying pullbacks into demand, right, Jeff? Or right, Joe? All right. Is it an ETF? No, I don't know about that one. Let me just look it up real quick. No, I've never heard of it, so. Get the little profile over here. And technology, software applications. So no, it's just a software company out of San Jose. 3D cameras, 3D spaces. Oh, cool. Anyway, yeah, not an ETF. Hey, thanks, Les. Appreciate that. I really do appreciate that very much. Kev, where do you think would be a good demand to own buy Bitcoin right for a swing trade or a day trade? All right, then I got to run, so we'll wrap up. I didn't look at the economic calendars for tomorrow, and I was planning on making this a 30-minute show. See how that happens? It's all Big Eb's fault. Let's go to symbol here. Bring up my Bitcoin. if you look at what happened with Bitcoin, my assumption is that you're going to retest this 45,000. And it's looking that way right now. It's fallen pretty aggressively today. We're down now about 3% on the last 24 hours. So my guess is you're probably going to retest 45,000. If you're skeptical, if you're not quite sure what to do and you're a little nervous it could go down further, then wait. Right? And wait for it to break back above the 45,000 mark. But my guess is you'll probably see it hit this 45,000, bounce for a day or two, and then start to move back up to the upside. That's what I think is going to happen. All right, buy the dip on Bitcoin. I agree. Again, long term, Bitcoin's going up. I still will maintain that. I think when I started the show in February of 2020, I think it was March or April somewhere, and I was saying, look, Bitcoin's going to be 100,000 by the end of 2023. It was a 3-year forecast. Or sorry, by the end of 2022. So the end of this year, I still think Bitcoin's going to be $100,000. Right? I got to go. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for me. Glad to have you back. Glad to be back. Although I will say, I really do miss Aruba. I'd love to be back in Aruba. But hey, it's fun to be back and doing these shows. So again, if you guys have questions, emails, you can put them down below the YouTube video. That's the easiest way to get questions to me. Just send whatever comments, questions you have. If it's something personal you want to share with me or something else you want me to cover, you can always email me at TraderMerlin@gmail.com. That's another way to get in touch with me. Until then, happy trading, everybody. I will see you all tomorrow for our... It's Friday already. The whiskey will be flowing. See you then.